Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Julius, Silaa, a faculty at the Namibia University of Science and Technology. Before we proceed any further, I have this question for you. Did you know that all human beings have three lives? Public, private, and secret. That is according to Gabriel Marquez, a Colombian author. Since that matters to all of us, I'm here, therefore, to present to you this important subject of user online security and privacy with Namibia as our case study. I'll begin with a short background followed by the actual problem statement, then objectives, methodology, result, and some recommendations. The background to my topic is motivated by the following observations. Firstly, the end users of the emerging ICTs, or information and communication technologies, are trapped in the dilemma of online freebies, as some online services run background data mining algorithms to harvest usage patterns, behaviors, and other relevant personal attributes. Secondly, the end user digital footprints are the most common fertile grounds for security and privacy attacks today. Therefore, trade-offs between user privacy and data security are hard to dissect. Thirdly, it was an observation from the Namibia Internet Governance Forum, also known as NAM-IGF, in 2019, where we identified specific end-user security and privacy challenges affecting the Namibian cyberspace. Lastly, most cyber citizens have no interest in cybersecurity, yet they enjoy the benefit of operating in the cyberspace. As a problem area, we in general observe that there is a lack of data that will enable Namibia to solve the critical subject of online user vulnerabilities through good security and privacy practices. The objectives, or the key objective of this study, therefore, was to gather data that would enable Namibia to address the critical subject of online user vulnerability management challenges through good security and privacy practices. The sub-objectives were to actually assess the current security and privacy status of the Namibian cyberspace, and secondly, to identify a strategy based on the collected data which different organizations, here to mean public and private partnership, could use to provide protection to cyber citizens in Namibia. As a methodology then, this study followed a qualitative research method in the form of a workshop. The gathered information can be categorized as follows. The first set of information was on perception and practices of end user security and privacy. And the second set of data which we collected on the impact of end user and other stakeholders' involvement in shaping national security culture. The information we gathered was used to advise the way forward, more specifically how to address the identified privacy and security management challenges in the Namibian cyberspace. This figure below shows three groups of NAM-IGF 2019 participants according to their focal themes. For example, 23%, around 23% were interested in privacy participation, while 35% were more interested in online safety, and about 41% in data protection. Note also the brown line depicting those who shared their views on topic other than their focal themes. What were the outcomes then? The causes for key data security and privacy concerns among the local cyber citizens and end users of ICTs were identified as: number one, the lack of appropriate policies and regulation for addressing privacy as well as data retention and data ownership. Secondly, the lack of accountability. For instance, who keeps the end user information and for how long? Some end users are naive. That was an interesting one, and may share information with strangers, causing many to fall victim to phishing, stalking, and other attacks. In line with the naive attitude is also another challenge that end users don't have a culture of reading service level terms and conditions, but would simply accept them without verification. Other findings were privacy breaches by some medical practitioners and business entities who traded away personally identifiable information of local citizens and end users of information and communication technologies. The abuse of lost IDs, ATM card cloning, and identity theft is also very prevalent. Citing a particular case, for instance, where a certain foreign national was implicated in Facebook identity theft. Altogether, lost IDs have also been used even for job and cash loan applications. That is quite strange and very interesting altogether. Others include incidences where the deceased IDs were used to create ghost accounts and fraudulent registration of marriage at the Ministry of Home Affairs and Immigration with the victim in absentia. Imagine. Note also that dual non-smart IDs exist, where a scammer would continue to use stolen or lost IDs after a victim has acquired a replacement ID. We also found out that there is a lack of awareness initiatives. For example, no sustainable national awareness initiatives against end-user privacy and security challenges. The only few this workshop NAM-IGF could identify were the Namibian National Cyber Security Competition, which run annually, Chemtech, Good Morning Namibia, a local TV show, and a handful of ISOC events. On the important question as to how the private and public partnership can provide protection to the Namibia, this is what was recommended. The government should ensure empowerment on personal information rights and should create data protection acts, create procedures to deal with information exposure and ensure all relevant laws are public knowledge. Academia should educate the local community on ethical guidelines and make every effort to use simple language that would make everyone understand what is privacy, what is security. Civil society has a lot to do and was recommended to contribute by developing strong morals and abstain from sharing sensitive information, and should as well limit the right to possess and share information by any other third parties. Additionally, end users should learn about safe authentication practices such as strong passwords, two-factor authentications, no sharing passwords, regular password changes, etc. End users should also know their right to consent. They shouldn't just consent anyhow. And the civil society must as well get educated on various forms of attacks, such as social engineering, brute force attack, and malware attacks. In conclusion, then, we identified specific challenges and gaps for end users in securing digital footprints in Namibia. Secondly, we did also identify a need for a legislative framework that will foster ethical adoption of new ICTs. We also identified a need for public awareness campaign on security and privacy. And lastly, we recommend quadruple helix model to inform the proposed legislative framework. Quadruple helix model includes citizens who are very important in this journey, as you can see in this figure here below. Unlike, for instance, triple helix model, which has got only 3 components and it doesn't include citizens. Overall, sufficient data that would enable Namibia to address the critical subject of online user privacy and security were successfully gathered. Our future work then is to really try and explore an important subject of general data protection regulation, commonly known as GDPR, and assess how to effectively interpret and align the anticipated cyber legislative framework to it. I thank you very much for listening to me. And I would very much like to hear what this will mean for you. Thank you again.